Hey YouTube, Matty's A12 Team JMT coming to you guys from legit YuGiOh. That's right, YuGiOh, not MTG. The owners of Legit, he was having a bit of a conflict because you had all of your Magic content, you had all your YuGiOh content, and it was all getting listed together and getting intermingled and kind of mixed in together, and it didn't really work out too well. So what they've done is they've made an additional page to their site, legityugioh.com. So now they've been able to pull all of their YuGiOh articles out of the legit MTG, leaving just the Magic articles and the Magic content there. And you're going to be able to put the YuGiOh articles onto the legit YuGiOh page. Now all of the YuGiOh articles and all the YuGiOh content will be on that page with all the Magic articles over here. They're going to interfeed between each other, so if you want to read articles from both pages, you'll be able to do that. But we're on our own page now, and it's great. I love the idea, and I'm happy that they've moved forward with this. So let's start talking about the topic of this video. I want to start talking about the subject at hand, and in this video or article I want to talk about the ARG Circuit Series event in Boston, and I want to talk about what's going to win that event. More importantly, I want to give my predictions on the top 16. But you can't talk about what's going to win the event without talking about Dragon Rulers. So that's where we're going to start. Dragon Rulers, Dragon Rulers, Dragon Rulers. That's all that's winning right now. And for good reason. And the deck is extremely consistent. There's different variants that you can play that are just as consistent as the next. And they're all really, really fun. As sad as I hate to admit it, being a stun player, yes, the decks are actually pretty fun to play. But you can't talk about Dragon Rulers without talking about the variants that there are. You've got the standard build, you've got the Dragoonity build, you've got the Blue Eyes build, you've got the Mythic build. Some people are playing Mythics and Blue Eyes together, you know, and building a whole new deck out of that. And you know, the Mythics came out of this recent set, the Shadow Spectre set, which gave us Felgrand. I've actually got mine with me. I need to get me some more of those, by the way. But yeah, so it's given you some additional help, and I guess the Mythic is probably the best way to start. Let's go ahead and start about and talk about that archetype and how I think it's going to fare in the top 16. Mythics, I feel like the best route for them is going to be with the Blue Eyes engine. I don't know that I like the normal summon of the Tree Dragon and then paired with the special summon of the Water Dragon, which that play gives you the Felgrand, or the normal summon of the Tree Dragon while you have title gives you a rank 7. But it's extremely dependent on the normal summon of the Tree Dragon. I don't feel like that is the best option for the Dragon Ruler deck. I feel that it's going to be not quite up to par. That being said, I do think Mythic Dragons are going to make the top 16. I think there's going to be one Mythic Dragon Ruler deck in the top 16, and I think there will be 2 Mythic Blue Eyes Dragon Ruler decks in the top 16. So a total of 3 Mythic Dragon decks will be in the top 16. I really feel that Felgrand is going to give them the opportunity to deal with back row and be, you know, kind of pseudo aggressive, I guess, against you know, the other players, and really get a chance to push in and not have to worry about their monster dying. So Mythics aside, let's talk about some of the other variants. The next variant that I want to talk about is Dragoonity. Dragoonity, I see the same fault in this deck that I see in the Mythic build. It's dependent on the normal summon of Ducks, and not only is it dependent on the normal summon of Ducks, it's also very vulnerable to Max C. I mean, I completely agree with Fraser Smith on this one. That Dragoonity build is very vulnerable to Max C, and there's just very little that you can do about it. You have to, if they do Max C to your ducks, to your flailings play off of your ducks, you have to go into a 6 and go into HTS. I can't remember the name of the card right now, but yeah, you got to go into the rank 6, the HTS Psychic Monster, which still gives them the +1 on the Max C. They get to draw to make themselves even on the Flailing Summon, and then you got to synchro into the 6 into the HTS guy, and that gives them the +1 on the Max C. And I feel like there's no way to really avoid your opponent getting the Max C plus, and if for whatever reason you want to take the Max C challenge and continue to push, they're going to get to draw a bunch of cards, and you better be able to OTK them, because if not, they're going to have enough cards to be able to answer everything that you've already done, and they're going to break your board, and then they're going to OTK you. So if you want to take the chance and roll the dice on the Max C challenge, you can. However, I don't know that it's really your best option. All of that being said, your opponent has to have the Max C. If they don't have the Max C, you're going to get to push. Your opponent has to have the answer to the normal summon. If they don't have the answer to the normal summon, you're going to get to push. So all that taken into account, they're going to get their plays off, guys, and they're going to be able to win, and they're going to be able to do good. And you can stop their plays occasionally, but they're going to get their plays off. That's what Dragoonities do. And I really feel that there are going to be 4 Dragoonity decks in the top 16. That makes a total of 7 Dragon Ruler decks so far. Next, I want to talk about the standard build of Dragon Rulers, which would mainly be like the rank 7 synchroing for 8, that kind of stuff, Debris Dragon into Star Eater, those kind of things. Like that deck, I really feel like just the standard build is the most consistent, is probably it's the best. I really feel like it is the best build of it. It is not as reliant on its normal summons as the other 2 variants that I've already talked about, and it's not as dependent on its other plays. You can disrupt it a little bit, and it still is able to make additional plays where some of the other decks may not be able to if you disrupt their plays. So I feel like the standard Dragon Rulers are going to be the best deck there, and there are going to be 6 total standard Dragon Ruler builds in the top 16. So if you've kept up with me so far, that's 1 Mythic Dragon, 2 Mythic Blue Eyes Dragons, the 4 Dragoonity, and the 6 Dragon Rulers. That's a total of 13 Dragon Ruler variants that are going to be in the top 16 at this event. Now, let's move on to the next 2 slots, which I feel are going to go to Evil Swarm. I feel like Evil Swarm are going to hold their own. I feel like the Evil Swarm players are going to be able to control the meta. I don't feel like they're going to have enough people playing them to really constitute giving them more spots than just 2 in the top 16. They did very well at the Columbus event, one of them making the top 2, and then of course I made top 32 with my Evil Swarm build, and I really feel like you're going to have to play multiple Vanity's Emptiness now in order to make it really work for you. But that's not that's not an issue for Evil Swarm. You can play the multiple Vanity's Emptinesses and not be hurt. However, when you're playing the Vanity's Emptiness, I feel like now you're going to have to play more Key Beetle. I feel like making Key Beetle and protecting Vanity's Emptiness is going to be a lot more key to that deck now than what it was before. And that 2500 body protected by Vanity's Emptiness is going to be very key to these players making the top tables. So now we are setting at 15 decks. That leaves 1 deck left to take a slot in the top 16. You could say Constellars. They did win the last event in Columbus. I've been kind of on this Mermill kick a little bit. However, the Mermills and the OCG have Trishula, and they get that push from Trishula. They don't have that here, so I don't feel like Mermills are quite there yet. So what I'm going to say, and you can agree, we can agree to disagree. I think spellbooks are going to sneak in and under the radar and take one of the top 16 slots. All it's going to take right now, spellbooks have fallen off. They're not getting cited for as much as I think they probably should. All it's going to take is for one good player to make a very well-placed, well-educated meta call and say, hey, this is what I'm going to play and this is how I'm going to play it. And they're going to come in and they're going to wreck the scene, mainly because the rest of the field is not going to be as prepared for spellbooks as what I think they should be. Everybody's going to be coming in thinking that Dragoonides are the one-headed giant that they are, and are going to come in prepared for for the Dragon Rulers and for the Dragoonid build and the Mythic build and all this. Their dragons are going to be just the deck to beat, and they are. And they're going to leave some of these other decks to the side, and they're not going to think about them. And I think of the other decks, of the Tier 2 decks that could sneak in, I think spellbooks are the ones that have the best opportunity. So all of that being said, that's my top 16. I've got 13 different Dragon Ruler variants. I've got 2 Evil Swarm, and I've got 1 Spellbook. What's going to win the event? Standard Dragon Rulers. The standard Dragon Ruler deck, I feel, is much more consistent. I feel that it is less dependent on its normal summon to be disrupted and to stop it from being able to make plays. I feel like it's going to be the top deck of the day, and I feel like the card of the day is going to be Stardust Spark Dragon. But I'm not going to talk about that card very much right now because Daniel Morris, one of the other writers for Legit YuGiOh, is actually writing an article about that card, and me and him have already talked a little bit about it, and he is going to be giving us a great article on that. So after you watch this article, after you watch this video, make sure you check back at legityugioh.com and check out Daniel's article about the Stardust Spark Dragon, which I think will be the MVP of the ARG Circuit Series in Boston, Massachusetts. So I appreciate it, guys. Subscribe, comment down below, show us how much you love us.